Whatever you're going through, you will get through it because you're here. And that means you are not alone. This is The Meaningful Meeting. Now your host, Ace Cannon.
Today's a very big day, not just for me, not just for you, for all of us, because this is The Meaningful Meeting. And this is where we come to share with one another. Today's a very big day because today's the day we begin to make some changes to get through whatever it is that we're going through. I don't care what it is that you're going through. I mean, I do care, but I don't care, because today's the day we're going to start making some changes. Talked last week about, guilt and all of these things, and I've had a tough week. I've had some things that have been going on that I've had to deal with, that I'm struggling with, and that I'm not doing a very good job with. And in putting this together, I decided, hey, today's the day. The Meaningful Meeting. Today, it's time for change. Now, just so you know, in case this is your first time here, obviously, I'm a doofus on the radio. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional. I'm a guy who's struggling with a lot of things in his life and has for a long time. We all have different things that we're working through. But I believe that there are universals that help us all through the difficult times. There are similarities in all of our situations, so we can all help one another, work one with another to make our lives a little bit better. So let me set the table for today's edition of The Meaningful Meeting with a little bit of honesty. Let me make a few things very clear as we get started. I know in my life that I have been very blessed. I know that others have it a lot worse than me. And I am thankful for what I have and who I have in my life. I also know that I could have made it easier on myself at times. We talked about this last week. These are the things that kind of build in the guilt that I worry with, that I deal with, because when I get down on myself, or I get down about things that have happened, struggles in life that have gone on, it forces me to often feel guilty, causes me rather to feel guilty, because I feel like I'm complaining when I have had these incredible things that have happened to me. I know I've played a role in some of the things that have happened that have gone wrong. But just as important, I know I haven't played a role in other things that have happened. And that's a key. Yes, whatever your situation is, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're going through, there's a very good chance you've played a role in some of the decisions that have caused you to be where you are, or to be experiencing whatever you're experiencing. There's also a very good chance you haven't played a role. And that's a lot of times where a lot of that anger, a lot of that burden comes from, a lot of that resentment comes from, because you feel like, I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I dealing with this right now? Why do I constantly have to go through this? Why do I have decades of one thing after another? That's what we're going to work on today. Told you before, I'm not a huge fan of who I am. I think I'm a very self-aware person, very self-aware to a fault sometimes, because I manage to take on a lot of things and a lot of burdens in life that aren't necessarily mine. But I think that part of the reason I enjoy doing this is that I enjoy hearing from you that it helps you, because that makes me feel better about myself. I've always liked helping people. I've always felt that it's part of my calling, with the skills and abilities that God gave me, to try to do for others, to try to help others. It's part of what we are supposed to do as Christians. And I think in many ways, God gave me some unique skills and abilities. I'm terrible when it comes to construction. I'm good at talking to people and communicating and being on the radio and hosting things and making people laugh. I've always wanted to do more to help people, and that's why charity work is so important. That's why this is so important to me. Take all that and then realize at some point you got to start. Today's the day. Today's the day. No matter what it is you do, whether you're training for something or you're looking to start a business, it doesn't make any difference. You've got to start somewhere one day. And today is the day that we are going to make things better. Today, right now, as you're hearing this, wherever you download podcasts, as you're watching it on YouTube, today's the day. I am notorious for putting things off. Not today. Today, we have to start making that change. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you haven't started already, then this is it. We've wasted so much time. We've wasted so much effort. We've wasted all this time on guilt, anger, and resentment when we could have been moving forward. I believe you were meant to be here today. I believe you were meant to hear the words that I'm about to share. I believe I am supposed to be sharing these words with you because you are probably not as screwed up as I am. Facts. You were meant to hear these words. I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe that I am supposed to be doing this, if for no other reason to help myself. But my goal is to help you. So let's make an agreement. Let's agree that today is the day. That today we are going to help ourselves. We are going to begin today. Now, we're not going to get anywhere until we start being honest with ourselves. This is a lot like therapy. So we're going to start. We're going to make it better for ourselves right now. And we start with being honest with ourselves. I've told you before, I hold on to everything. Every wrong ever done to me, I hang on to it and I don't let it go. I say I do. That's a lie. I tell people all the time, like say when a relationship ends, like I'm going to get revenge on my ex, using this as an example. Partnership ends at work. I'm going to get revenge on my partner who stole money from me. And I tell people just like, let that go. Don't put energy into that. That person doesn't deserve your energy. Move forward. Here's the catch-22. I do that. If I were, if I feel wronged by someone, I move on from it. I don't wish them anything, any ill will. But what I do hold on to is the resentment and the anger and the bitterness. And for a long time, I've tried to use that to propel myself forward. And what I find is that accumulates over time. That's not good because I'm not good to myself. I don't forgive me for anything. And that's huge. I'm very self-deprecating when it comes to humor. I'm very confident in my abilities, so it doesn't bother me. But there's a lot to be said for putting out good things, putting out positive thoughts when it comes to yourself, when it comes to your work. And I'm not saying be braggadocious. I'm just saying thinking positively about yourself. That's important. So if you're like me, if you're not good to yourself, if you don't forgive yourself for anything, you're creating a terrible, perfect storm. You add these two things together, you get anger and resentment at others. You get anger and resentment at yourself. Then you throw in a little dose of anger at God that I've been dealing with for a while now, and you've got a lethal combination that's going to drive you crazy. Don't believe me? Trust me on that one. You may remember, if you're in the radio family, about a year ago, I took a week away from the show because I wasn't taking very good care of myself. I was really, really, really struggling and realized I need to just take off for a while and kind of clear my head. And I had a therapist a while back who, upon introduction, said, let's start at the beginning when you're working with someone new. And I went through the years of things that I had experienced, some my own doing, some not. And at the end of my opening, so to speak, my introduction to him, I kind of made the point that, look, I have had so many great things happen to me. I feel like a baby. I feel like a little bitch when I complain. But I've tried so hard to take care of everyone, and it seems like it all ends up in my face. And yet so many great things have happened to me, and I know others have it worse. But man, I feel overwhelmed by the constant fight that I seem to be going through to take care of people. Just the struggle, no matter my successes, the constant struggle, which seems to be getting harder and harder and harder while the situation gets worse and worse and worse. His reply was, quote, "I've been doing this a long time. Wow. That's a lot." And I kind of started laughing because you just think it's you. You just think it becomes life. And maybe sometimes we undersell the amount of things that have happened. You know, you don't want to dwell in it or get lost in it, but you just have to be good to yourself. It's okay to feel like, damn, I've been working on this. Why is this so hard? That's okay. And he talked to me about PTSD. And I felt terrible. And I told him, man, I'm not a cop. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a soldier. Those people have PTSD, and they've earned that with what they do. That hasn't happened to me. I feel like a baby complaining about the things I'm complaining about to a therapist. And we're talking about PTSD, and we're talking about, like, to me, soldiers get PTSD when they've had incredible scenarios. He pointed out that in my life, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of things that nobody ever has known about. And he told me something that is the first point that I want to share with you today. It's going to be the most important thing in getting us back on track, getting us going. Remember, today's the day. Today's the day. Number one, your feelings are valid. Don't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. But it's okay to feel what you feel as long as you are honest with yourself about what happened and you take ownership of whatever part you played. Honesty with yourself is key. Your hurt is valid. Your fear is valid. Your anger is valid. As long as you take ownership of whatever part you played in the situation or the decisions that put you where you are or where you were. Your feelings are valid. Hurt, fear, anger, all valid. But most importantly, you are valid. You matter. You count. If to no one else, to yourself. Let your validity help you put those feelings of disappointment and rage and resentment. Let your validity put those feelings on the back burner, because trust me, they're not helping. They may not go away, but at least they're not top of mind. At least they're not your first thought. At least we've pushed them to the bed of the truck. They're in the back of the truck now. You're driving the truck, man, and you're looking out a window of a brighter future, of a better day, and you're moving forward. You've still got resentment, anger, and all that stuff, but it's now, like, it's in a box in the bed of the truck. It's in the very back, up against the tailgate. You can't have anger, resentment, rage sitting in the passenger seat beside you up front. They can't be there for you to be the best that you can be. They can't be there for me to be the best that I can be. I've come to a realization in my life. I have to completely overhaul a lot of things about my life due to a couple of situations. I've got to make some big changes. I've got to make some big improvements. I've got to really step up, because I have a desire to get back to where I used to be. Financially, career-wise, that type of thing. In order for that to happen, I got to let go of those things that make me angry, those things that I resent, those people that I resent, those feelings of, just rage at people who I feel have wronged me along the way, that I've held on to every single one of them and tried to take them all and bundle them up and use them to fuel me to be better, to prove to them that I'm valid and that I'm worthy. I'm driving the truck, but I've been letting those people, those wrongs, that anger, ride in the passenger seat. I'm not great at this, but I'm telling you, I am trying to box them up and then take that cardboard box and put it in the bed of the truck up against the tailgate. Like I said, I tried to use that as motivation. It only led me to keep this anger and hurt front and center in the passenger seat. It's been eating me up for years. Years. Okay? So number one, your feelings are valid, but most importantly, you are valid. Number two, identify what you need to do to be better and to feel better about yourself. Now, this is different for each of us. There are a few things that I can do to make me feel better about myself. One of them, for example, is to feel better physically, look better physically to myself. Let me give you an example. When I first was going through my divorce, I was living alone and I was fully depressed. And I've talked about this before. If my kids weren't around, a lot of times I'd just eat, some turkey. I'd stop and I'd grab a salad at the grocery store by my house, by my apartment. And I wasn't eating a lot, but I was working out a lot. Sometimes I'd go work out again just to have something to do in the evening rather than sit there and stare at the TV or whatever. And because long story short, I got in really good shape. And then once my divorce was over, if you've ever been divorced, there's kind of a moment of like, you take a deep breath and realize, okay, that's done. I can't do anything about it now. And I think it's like a release. Once all of the paperwork and everything is done and you've been through all these experiences, that once that is over, there's kind of a, whew, and you start to live life. Offshoot of that is I'd gotten in really good shape, especially for somebody who was 47, 48 years old. It was 48, I guess. And I've held on to this. The first time I was ever with around Amanda at a pool, she had a roommate at the time, or not a roommate, a friend who lived in the same building with her. And I met them at the pool, and she said to her friend, I heard her say to her friend, she goes, look how good a shape he's in. It's one of the most flattering things that anybody has ever said to me. I felt so good about myself in that moment. And I maintained that for the most part. But over the course of the past few years, look, I'll be honest with you. Here's an issue. I drink too much. I eat too much. I do good during the week. And sometimes I go off the rails. So I've identified, like, I got to quit drinking so much. You don't drink a bottle of champagne on a Tuesday. That's dumb. That's not getting you anywhere. You got to have a little more, self-discipline than that. But I know that if I feel better and look better physically, it makes me feel better about myself. I need a reason to be proud of myself, and you need a reason to be proud of yourself. Despite all of these things that I had done, the money I'd made, the big house I had, awards, trips, all of this stuff, the failure of my marriage was hanging around my neck like an albatross. And she, Amanda, made me feel proud of myself like I never had before. And that made me work even harder. I'll give you another one. What do you need to do to be better, to feel better about you? I have got to work on my relationship with God. This is a tough one for me because I know I've been very blessed. But over the course of the past few years, it seems like, as we've talked about before, I feel like privately, my life is on a downward trajectory while I'm watching everybody I know. And I literally mean everybody I know who are my friends. Their life is going upward. It's on an upward trajectory. And I am thrilled for them. I'm never, I'm never envious of them. I'm so happy for them. But my question is always to God, why is this so much harder than everybody else? Why, when I've tried so hard to help other people and do for others and take care of others, even in my failures, I've tried, why is mine so hard? And let's be honest with you, I I've never blamed God for my daughter's death, but sometimes I get angry about it. Sometimes I get angry, like, hey, God, I even told everybody, and I've tried to use her death to do more to help others. Why is my life getting harder? Because of that. Because I'm trying to do all the right things, I feel like. I have been angry at God for a long time, and it took a friend of mine to point that out to me. And I tried to not acknowledge it because I felt that was terrible. And then he said something I'll never forget. He said, "You think God doesn't know you're mad at him?" It made me laugh. He goes, "Really, you think that?" I'm wondering why I have to go through this when I've tried to use my successes and all to help others, and why it has continually been getting harder for so long. But admittedly, I know that's life. I know other people have it much worse than me. But I also know that it seems like it's been a fight my entire life. And I allowed this to make me angry at God. I allowed all this stuff to kind of bundle up. It eats me up. It keeps me up. It makes me too hard on some, not hard enough on others. No one really understands because nobody's been there except God. I need to be better with God. I need to find a peace with God, because that's going to help me be better myself. All right. So number one, your feelings are valid, but most importantly, you're valid. Number two, identify what you need to be better, to feel better about you, yourself. And number three, this is where, as my dad would say, this is where the rubber meets the road. My dad might also call it nut cutting time. Not really sure what that means. What are you going to do about it? You know what you need. You know you matter. Now chart a path. Where do you want to be? And how do you get there? Chart a clear path that plays to your strengths and works around your weaknesses. Something I miss doing that I haven't done in a long time is give a speech to a group, or my favorite one, I gave a speech at a high school graduation at Cabarrus Arena one time. And one of the things I talked about in these speeches, and one of the things I regularly talk about, is to be successful, you really only got to know two things: your strengths and your weaknesses. Play to your strengths. Fill in around you with people who help with your weaknesses. It's the very same way you put together a radio show or a business or a baseball team or whatever. It doesn't make any difference. That's really all you need to know. What are you good at? Do more of that. What are you not good at? Do less of that, but figure out a way to find others that'll fill in those gaps for you. Ask yourself this: what do I need? And how will I get there? Now, that doesn't guarantee success, but without it, you are guaranteed to not be a success. What do I need? How do I get there? Chart a clear path. Guarantee success. I'm not guaranteed to be successful at these endeavors that I'm trying, at the situations that I'm dealing with. There is no guarantee for success, but I am guaranteed that if I continue to do what I have done, it will not be successful. The famous basketball coach, John Wooden, who won 10, I think, national championships at UCLA, said, quote, one of my favorite quotes of all time, quote, "Failing to prepare is preparing to fail," end quote. I love that quote. I have never really done a good job of subscribing to it. I mean, he's right, and I know he's right. I just fall short in that capacity. I'm not the best at preparing for things like that. But we have to prepare ourselves for a better life. We have to prepare ourselves to be happy. we have to prepare ourselves to improve where we want to. And we have to prepare ourselves to be who we want to be. Then we put together our plan. That's part of our preparation. And we put that plan into action. Even with a plan, there is no guarantee. But without a plan, there is only one guarantee: failure. Trust me when I tell you, I am telling myself this more than I am you right now. I mean, think about it. I came up with all this because I was writing about myself. I was pulling from my own therapy. I was pulling from my own feelings of anger and hurt and resentment. And I can't tell you right now that I'm going to let them go. But I'm not going to try to use them anymore to fuel me to further success or to financial rebound or whatever it might be. I can't use them to help me achieve my goals because that doesn't work. It doesn't. It really never has. I like the idea of it. I think it makes for a great story. And I like the idea that one day, quietly, even only I know that I did something that they didn't think I could do, that I'm better than they thought I was. And most of the people who've done this stuff that I hold on to will never acknowledge it. That's okay. I will. But what happens is, for me at least, those things just continue to build. And then you go from going, I'm going to use this to fuel my success, to I'm going to use this to fuel my success. It slows you down, man. Put it in the box. Put it in the back of the truck. Push it right up against the tailgate. You're moving forward. That's as far as you can get it. It's still there, but it's way in the back of the truck now. Because you got bigger, better priorities. Prepare yourself for a better life. Prepare yourself to be happy. Prepare yourself to improve where you want to and where you need to. Prepare yourself to be who you want to be and what you want to be. And then put your plan into action. That's it. Go do it. I am notorious for saying, all right, let's see, I need to get on a new workout program and really buckle down. So Monday's the day. I mean, nobody starts on a Wednesday. You know who starts on Wednesday? You know who starts on Thursday? You know who starts on Sunday? Winners. Winners. Start when the time is right. They don't say, I'm going to wait because in 2 weeks, the first day of the month is on a Monday. That's the day we go. No. Winners start right now. They start in the moment. I got what I need. I'm ready to go. We start today, right now. I'm as bad as it comes. But winners, they start when it's time to start, no matter what time that is. I started yesterday when I wrote out the notes for this podcast. When are you going to start? Are you going to start right now? Or are you going to say, all right, I'm going to finish listening to this and I'm going to think about it. Maybe tomorrow I'll start looking at it. No. We made a deal at the beginning of this podcast, me and you. We're going to be better today. Today is the day. We're going to be better today than we were yesterday. And we're going to be better next week than we are today. You know why? Because we start right now. Right now. Saying these words is important to me because it makes me feel better. Makes me feel inspired. Makes me feel better about myself. I hope that they're having the same effect on you in some way. The correct answer of when am I going to start? It's right now. It's right now. You're starting right now. You're hearing this. This is the beginning. We're starting. We're kicking it off. We're going. You're going to come up with your plan. You're going to be honest with yourself. You're going to be honest about those valid feelings. And you're going to remember that you are important. You are the key. You are valid. And that plan comes together and we're starting. And it may take a long time and it's going to be real hard. And you're going to have some setbacks. And it's going to be frustrating. But a year from now, 6 months from now, you're going to be able to look at yourself and go, man, I'm proud of, if nothing else, I'm proud of the effort. I'm proud of the discipline. I'm proud of myself. And that's important. That's special. So what helped me come to this realization? It all starts with a letter from my wife. And I'll share a little bit of that letter with you next.
There's more of the Meaningful Meeting next. This is the one meeting that reminds you each week that you are not alone. This is the Meaningful Meeting with Ace Cannon.
All right, so before I get to this letter that I want to share with you, let's recap, all right? Your feelings are valid, but most importantly, you are valid. Identify what you need to do to be better and to feel better about yourself. What do you need to do to be a better you and to feel better about who you are? Then ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? Develop your plan. Doesn't have to be tremendously long-term. It might just be a plan to get through the next couple of weeks. And then you do it again and you do it again and you do it again, but you don't stop. Develop the plan and then go do it. Today's the day. We're not waiting on Monday. We're not waiting on the 1st. When it's time to start, it's time to start. Again, you know why? Because that's what winners do. They start when it's time. And what helped me come to this realization was a letter from my wife. I know it sounds weird, but in today's final 5 minutes, I'll share with you part of this letter. Here's the letter. It's this, and I've mentioned before, I've been going through a lot of difficult situations, a lot of things in my life that have really had me down, had me frustrated, had me angry, and I'm angry at a lot of people, frustrated with a lot of people, and have tried to help other people more. And it's a weird, vicious circle. But I came home the other day and there was a letter from my wife that was on my desk. And here's what she wrote at the end of the letter to me. You've had plenty of time to be angry and bitter. Please, I'm begging you as your partner, as Dax's mom, on Cade's behalf, and in honor of Peyton's memory, please try to be happy, more positive. Move forward with confidence and determination to make this life, your life, better. Even when you have bad days, just give it a chance and watch our lives change for the better. It won't be easy. You can't just throw away all the hurt and anger and pretend like it didn't happen and move forward. But you can just try your best each day, and I will be there for you. Please do this for me. I need you. I love you with all my heart, and I would not be writing this if I didn't believe in you. You can turn this around. You just have to decide to break free from life's burdens and tragedies. When you remain in them, you cannot be set free from them. It is time to let go. It is time to move forward. At the very end, she writes, I hope after reading this, you do not feel judged or angry. I hope you feel loved and seen and supported. I need you, David. I love you exactly as you are. I just need you to be happy and positive again. I am willing to do anything I can to help. Let's make this life beautiful. I've got to do better. And I hope that somehow in this today, you realize that you got to do better too. Because you know what? You deserve it. You do. Because you're valid and your feelings are valid. And you're honest with yourself about how you can feel better about yourself. Then you're going to put together a plan and we're going to go do it. And we're not waiting for Monday because we're winners. Most importantly, remember this. One day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you're going through now. And it will become part of someone else's survival guide. And that to me is the most special of all. Today's the day, man. Today's the day. I hope you'll message me. I hope you'll send me an email. Hit me up on my social media, Ace at Large. It's David Ace Cannon on Facebook. Just let me know what's happening. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're going through. I'm not an expert. I'm just some dude struggling with a lot of things in his life. Trying not to come off like a crybaby. You can do it. You really can. Because you're important. You're valid. We got to start now. No reason not to. So, I'll see you next week.
Now, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. You are a part of the Meaningful Meeting, presented by the Radio Network. Copyright ATJ Inc. 2022.